晚上好. Oops. Oops. So it's the second time I've heard Oscar today. Some of you might have been at TechCon this afternoon, and he was doing a great job there. Inspirational speaker. I heard a little bit earlier tonight that someone from the media spoke to Chinaccelerator not too long ago and said, shockingly, that they did not pay attention to news from entrepreneurs and startup companies. Can you imagine that? At Forbes, we believe that entrepreneurs and startup companies change the world and make the world a better place. The progress from technology and a lot of the things that make the world great today actually come from you. And you don't need Forbes to tell you that. You also have the multinational companies that are here in China today looking for ways to inject innovation and solutions into their companies and spending money on people like you and investing in you. So first off, let me give you all a pat on the back for starting your companies and welcome you to keep in touch with Forbes. We not only write about entrepreneurs in the U.S., but we're covering entrepreneurs around the world. Forbes has about 40 editions around the world. In China, let me give you a short history. Forbes started covering Chinese entrepreneurs in the early 1990s in the local language in Hong Kong. We first did our China Rich List ourselves in 2003. These are some of the interesting folks that we've been covering on an ongoing basis. We had a Lei Jun cover when Lei Jun was not so well known at Xiaomi. We cover under 30 entrepreneurs regularly, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. This is one of the latest covers from Forbes China, which is about Wang Shi, a very spirited leader and inspirational figure to a lot of young people in China at China Vanke. We want to take the occasion very briefly to encourage everybody here who's under 30 that has a good business going to sign up for our under 30 list. Our judges include William Balbine, who's here tonight. So one reason we're here is to thank William for giving us a big hand with the under 30 list. So everybody please, on our behalf, give a round of applause to William. Thanks a lot. And William is also going to be an under 30 list judge this year. So all the more reason to keep in touch with us or keep in touch with William if you're thinking about getting some of the recognition and good publicity that goes with being on the under 30 list. If you want to sign up for that under 30 list, you can scan that right now, and we'll get back to you in the not too distant future. And I should say, our under 30 list is open to anybody that's living in China. You can be of any nationality. Who am I? This is a picture from me from the year that we opened up our bureau in Shanghai in 2003. I think if you're wondering about your career and your journey, my story boils down to passion. I started working in the media business when I was a teenager, writing news for a small radio station in New England. And through my youth, I kept writing and working on publications. My master's degree is actually in agricultural economics. I worked in a bank, hated it, went into media, worked for Bloomberg, worked for the Wall Street Journal, and have had the great fortune to be at Forbes since 2000. Let me talk about something I have a lot of experience with, is talking to startup companies. And I'm just going to share a list with you here, which is something we tend to think of intuitively at Forbes. The first idea I want to share with you when you're talking to a journalist at all is to remember that news is surprise. In fact, I learned that from some editor along the way in my own career. If you talk to a journalist, if you have the opportunity to talk to a journalist, you want to avoid saying something that's cliche, something that everybody knows. I was talking earlier today at TechCom to a startup company that is providing what was described as IoT solutions to maybe and some refrigerator makers. And the person said, we have a really innovative product where it helps change the temperature in the oven from your mobile phone or something like that. And I'm listening and I'm just falling asleep listening to that because that is not that's not much news. This just caught my attention because it's about how Volkswagen, when they make cars, spray insect repellent. What is that? Okay, so associate yourself with well-known companies. Even if you've got a customer that's, sounds reasonably good, work that into the conversation because it gives you cred, right? It gives you cred, and you want as much credibility as possible when you're just starting out. Give journalists the nut graph. Anyone who knows what the nut graph is? This is journalism jargon. The nut graph goes into a story, and it's about something, but it appeals to a bigger audience of readers and tells them, why do I care? Okay, so before you talk to a journalist, you give them the nut graph. You think about it in advance. So this is just a headline that I thought actually has a little bit of nut graph in it. Dirty Work for Robots, how two young immigrant entrepreneurs created oven-sized Roombas to chase a $5 billion opportunity. The headline itself got in there that it's a $5 billion opportunity. So $5 billion is still pretty good money. A lot of business journalists will think $5 billion, that's okay. So if you talk to a journalist and you're saying, I'm making something and it's addressing a $5 billion market, you just come right out. You have to be prepared with that kind of background to give it to somebody, to get them to go, this is more important than you and your two, buddies from college that are just living in Shanghai and trying to get something going. You bring a big number like that into the conversation. This slide is not our best slide, but it's also good. Is there a tension point in the story? What's a tension point in a story? It's one idea versus another idea, okay? Everybody says this, but I'm doing that. Okay, that's called the tension point in the story, okay? A related idea is David and Goliath, okay? You're a little guy, you're taking on big pharma. You're a little guy, you're working on whatever you're working on. Some A versus B is always a good idea to have in the back of your mind. If you're starting a company and you're just another e-commerce business and you can't explain, I'm another luxury, platform for selling something. Why are you different than anybody else? If you're just selling luxury products to millennial consumers, it's just too much noise in that space in China right now. So no matter what you're doing, try to paint yourself. Try to think as your attention point that makes the story interesting to the reporter and also makes the story interesting to the reader. Good stories have key quotes. So, if you're a natural, colorful storyteller, good for you. You can boil things down crisply. You have a sense of humor. You have a sense of irony. You're on your way to being a PR star in business. But if you're not, and you take up an interview with a journalist, just think of something colorful to boil down what your advantage is, right? And what it is that you're trying to do. Superlatives are always good in a news story or in a business story. I'm the biggest. I've got the most. Something like that, okay? And superlatives are especially good when they're true. Because most journalists don't want to believe anybody, okay? So you will totally burn out your relationship with the journalist that you have the good fortune to meet if you're telling whoppers. So you don't want to do that. But if you happen to be able to use a superlative to your advantage, you definitely should. Are you making money? I'm a startup. I'm already making money. Okay, that's a good thing to be able to drop into the conversation. No matter how much money you're making, that's good. Are you doing something socially desirable? The world today is different from when I started out, and it's very important to be linking yourself to a good social cause, whether it's promoting the environment, promoting whatever you're promoting, okay, equality, gender equality, these kind of things are all very valuable to talk up. And then usually when I'm talking to people in China, especially on anything to do with internet finance, I'm thinking, is this person selling me on something that's legal? Is this okay to be doing in China? Are you registered? I'm going to put out an article on Forbes magazine or Forbes.com or something about you, and you know, how solid is your business? A kind of a bonus idea that I just leave with you is there is, in fact, a huge market right now in international media for stories about China consumer, especially young consumers that are having such a big impact on so many industries in China, and hence the global economy today. As the last thought and a little bit of a sneak peek on our new issue, I want to talk about 6 reasons why it is, in my opinion, a good time to be an entrepreneur in Shanghai. I'm proud to say that I wrote a cover in 2002 about why Shanghai was the best city for entrepreneurism in the world, and that's one way that I got my job here in Shanghai at Forbes by writing that cover. So I tend to be optimistic about Shanghai and its place in the world. The government is really cutting taxes on small businesses, so that is real incentive for entrepreneurs in China today. The news kind of gets lost and everything else, but the government really is trying to help startup companies and small businesses today. Red tape is getting cut in China today. It isn't getting cut enormously, but it's getting cut. Something that William and I were talking about earlier is the labor market is soft. So for you as a foreign entrepreneur in particular, it's helpful when you're looking for talent that the labor market is soft. And William was also pointing out that the VC money going into Chinese VC money going into Chinese startups appears to be going down. So that's good. It increases the bargaining power that you have to get talent, and in an ironic way, that's good for being an international startup company here. China's economy may be slowing, the GDP growth may be slowing, but China's economy is still huge, and lots of, in my opinion, consumer needs waiting to be figured out at a time of enormous change. And change means opportunity, right? Another point I mentioned is you're already here. Shanghai is a great place. You don't have to think about coming. You are here. You're on the ground. Seize the moment. And then number 6 is it's about Shanghai itself has a great future. To this end, I brought our new cover, which we haven't even come off the printing press yet. But this is a profile of LVMH's Greater China chief, Andrew Wu. And if you read Chinese, you can see that we're talking about Shanghai as the international fashion hub in China, okay? And why is fashion and design such a great opportunity? China is going to account for half of the global market for luxury products, okay? And that's in 2025, compared with 36% today, about half. So what does that tell you? It means there's going to be enormous growth in China consumer spending in this area, okay? Then do people here have more room to address that market? This is from a Deloitte survey that lists the world's top 100 luxury brands. Out of top 100 luxury brands, only 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, only 9 come from China. All right, China, it should be that people in China have the best grasp of what China's tastes are. So this is an enormous market that isn't really being that dominated in any way by local companies. So the way that I look at these numbers is that there's all kinds of room here in China to address this market. And Shanghai is right at the middle of this story, which is why we have LVMH, Greater China Boss, there on the cover, explaining that very idea. Another great reason why Shanghai is a good spot for entrepreneurism, in my own judgment, is the amount of funds and support that's available to you. You have support here from William. You have support here from, for instance, the 16 venture capitalists that were on our top VC list this year that came from China. It's the most venture capitalists that have ever come from China on our list, our top 100 list of the world's venture capitalists. You also, if you're doing anything involving product sourcing, have all kinds of supply chains in China that you can tap into. Very, very convenient. So my message is congratulations on pursuing your dream. I'm here. If you've got a story to pitch, you've got something you want to talk about, come and talk to me. We're happy to talk to you. And thanks very much for Chinaccelerator for having us tonight. Great to meet everybody.